Hello, World Wide Web. Another rainy day video. Uh, I figured I'd make a video more because there's a lot to liveries, and most of the videos you see are primarily about the textures, and then they just give you a step by step on how to get it in the game, and I thought I might make something more about the how and the why it works. I don't know if it'll be useful for anybody, but you know, sometimes if you're having to edit or change things up, it helps to know what the files are actually doing and why it all works together. So here we go. We'll start. We'll just make one from, literally, basically from scratch, and I'll try and explain. So we need a name. Well, if you go in here to your official, and mine's WinStore, yours may be like official Steam, I think it is. I don't know. And then you'll notice these are all packages, just like add-ons are. And in fact, we'll steal quite a few files. All the files that we use in liveries primarily come out of here. But if you look at the format, is all I was looking. I try to. The SDK gives you a specific format, and I use EasyR as my name or my company name, I think they say. And then we'll say this is going to be a livery, and I'm going to do Xcub always because, and we'll just make this blank or blue. I wouldn't use blue. In other words, try and come up with some unique name for the livery rather than just something basic. For this folder, it probably won't matter because you have a unique prefix here to work with. But when you get to where you're putting a folder in here in the actual virtual drive, that might become a problem. Let's see. Alright, so I'm going to do Xcub as always. I'm just familiar with the files. So I'm way past it. So you just find the Xcub aircraft, or the aircraft you want to make the video in. Now I already made a shortcut, so we're gonna go to right here. Okay, there we go. So here's the package right here, and I call this the package folder. And then we're going to go right here. So here's the aircraft I'm going to work with, and we're going to copy these two files. Start with, and we'll get back to those. But we're also going to copy in the folder structure. And the reason is that this is where it will go in the virtual drive. You'll notice that all scenery starts out with a scenery folder. Well, sim objects, airplanes is where aircraft and liveries go. That's in the virtual drive, not in the community folder. And then we have, these are the three different kinds. Now we're doing a livery, but most people just start out with this one as a name. I'm just creating, and then they'll add, say, the name of the livery to it. And that'll work because I don't have any other liveries. But this airplanes folder, eventually, all of these plus all the add-ons, and I mean all of these, like in all of these packages here that are aircraft, every one of these aircraft packages ends up in the airplanes folder on the virtual drive, along with all of these and all the add-ons. This is a relative path to the virtual drive now. So I wouldn't use blue. Use something a little more unique. Let's go. Just to make sure, I mean, if somebody else said Asobo Xcub Blue and you said Asobo Xcub Blue and this fellow happened to have them both installed, you might have conflict. So anyway, we're going to make that a unique name. And then we're going to copy texture folder or just the name. Paste. We'll have to edit that. And the aircraft config. This is the only file we need, and we only need a little tiny piece of it. But I want to get all the files we absolutely got to have. And copy. Paste. And I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess you need the thumbnails. Okay, that's the bare minimum. Now, we don't have any actual textures. These are like the thumbnails that'll show up in the menus and the config files. Yeah, and we have EasyR Blue. Let's change this name to match. Fun. I don't need to. Well, yeah. Okay. Now we can start with this one. I don't really use it. The only time I've had a need for the dependencies is like if I was modding a mod. And by that, I mean if you're modding a payware or add-on aircraft that they may not have, or something that's in the community folder, then you can use the dependencies. And basically the way they work is they use the actual package folder, that folder, the one that's right in OneStore or Steam or whatever it is on Steam. So, if I were, say, well, I'm getting off track here, but you put in the main package folder, the one right in community here, and then inside that package folder you would use the manifest package version from here, right there. Okay, now that's, like I said, that's like if you were making a livery for an add-on aircraft, then you would use that. Since we're making a livery for a default aircraft, we're going to get rid of the dependency. We're making a livery, and we stole this from the aircraft. Now the content type is are all pre-described in the SDKs. You have livery, scenery, aircraft, core, and miscellaneous, MISC. Maybe a few more, I don't know. The title needs to be unique, and we want to edit that, so whatever you want, but it needs to be a unique name. These two files are control files for the package itself. They really don't have anything to do with anything once the package loads. You don't have to edit it. This is the only line. These two are the only critical ones that you technically have to change. But I'm just going ahead and editing a few things so you can see how I would do it. Put my username there, package version. I usually do, no. I don't know why they have. That's the package of this add-on, right? This is, everything on here is about the package itself. Minimum game version, well, that's what, 09? Let's see that from here, I think. 1259, yeah. So there we go. All right. Now, obviously, this is still wrong, but we'll get to that, and when we fix this layout. Again, this is all wrong. Look, it's got all the files in that original aircraft, just tons of files. And that's what this layout generator will fix here when we get done. But we're not quite there yet. We haven't done, yeah, I haven't minimalized this at all. All right, we're going to use a variation flag that you find in the SDK. And by doing that, basically, is what it's going to do is tell this file to use everything from the default file except what we change, except for what we list. So we're going to minimalize this to almost nothing. I'll go back to that and show you where I get the variation flag from when I get through. Now, like I say, it's going to use one that I need UI. That's the bare minimum that we actually have to change in this file. And now we need the flag right here that tells it to use the default stuff other than what we change. We can even do this. This is just a comment. Comment means everything following that doesn't count, isn't going to be read. So this is the all we need out of the original. Where were we? Here, I don't use the SDK, so I think they explain how to do this in the SDK. Because every time I go through and do this, all the folders are named wrong. Just nothing works right. I do better if I can look at it. But right down here, this variation here and here, and they explain it how they explain it. You're welcome to come here and read it. I have read some of it, but you tag that right there. And basically, this is saying, okay, go here and load this aircraft, but let's make these changes to it. So, where do we get the aircraft folder from? Official. This here is not the package folder. So it's not the one directly here. It's the actual aircraft folder, or what I call the aircraft folder. So it's the one in airplanes, right here. As opposed to the dependencies where you get this one. So this is the sim objects airplanes folder name. Okay, now we're telling this livery to use this aircraft as the base aircraft, and everything in here will be loaded. Right now, you wouldn't even be able to tell it, but it would load without error. And the UI variation is a descriptive name that you're going to give it in the hanger. We're going to go, it can be pretty much anything you want. The title should be unique because it's what the game calls it, and then the texture we'll come back to. But that's all right. Should we? Let's get out of these folders. Okay. Now, what would happen here, and the reason we need this, is right now we're telling it to go here and read everything from here. Now, we've renamed the title so that the game would see this as a new livery, and we've given that livery a name. But what's going to happen if it goes here and reads the texture file, is there won't be any change. Even if we put a texture folder here, it's just not going to go there, not unless we tell it to. And we want to make this unique. This is where they came out, again, with a relative. They like a lot of relative, but we'll put our unique name there after a period. And then we'll copy what's after the period and put it here. And that's it. Now that file is built and ready. And basically, is what we're doing is we're telling it to load this aircraft, but we're going to make these changes. So we're changing the title, which means the game sees a different aircraft. The UI variation, which means we have a new section in the livery folder. And we're telling it to load textures from this file, from this folder here. Now, there's still one problem with that, and that's there's no textures in here, nor do we want to have to put every texture in the game here, right? So we only need a few textures in here, and right now this is the only place it's going. So what we're going to do is add a fallback here so that it looks in the default folder. This gets a little tricky, and I'll show it. Remember I said all the aircraft go into the sim objects airplanes folder eventually, right, in the game. So what we have to do is get it from this file, which is, where is this file? Okay, I'm getting myself confused here. From this file, which is right here, to this file, or this folder. From this folder to this folder. So how would we do that? Well, these dot backslash actually mean up one level. So if we're right here, we go 1, 2 up, and look where we're at. We're in the airplanes folder. Okay, well, if this is eventually going to end up in the same airplanes folder, is what we need to do is we need to add a fallback that has dot backslash twice, and that puts us here. Then it's going to go through here, look in there, and then look in there. So we need that. Save that. Now, that is the only thing wrong here is we still got to change these numbers. This has to be in sequential. I just want it to look here first, because now is what's going to happen is this texture line points it to here, and it's going to load anything we have here first. If it can't find all the files, then it's going to go to here, and it'll look through these one at a time and load the files. And that it's kind of a tricky little bit there, but we got to change these. These have to be sequential. And I've seen up to like 18. You just keep going. So that's your extra, and that's that. Okay, save. And that's basically it. Now, other than the layout.json, which I'll leave. Let's see, did we edit? Yeah. Which also the layout, this Microsoft layout generator is super great. It rewrites the layout.json, and it even edits this if it's found. And the layout.json, like I said, right now shows all these millions of files. But you just grab this, boom, that little window, and look, Now it only has a few files, the ones we have. Now we haven't got any livery folders or files in it yet. So we need to add some. The two most common ones is the airframe, fuselage, whatever you want to call it. And you notice I'm moving two files. Oh, you need to make sure, oh, wrong button, that, and folder, there it is, File Explorer. Go here and make sure hide extensions for known file types is unchecked. You do not want to hide these file extensions, and I'll show you why. Get out of there. And I'll show you why. See how this has .png, .dds, and then this one has .png, .dds, .json. What that check mark does is it hides the very last extension. So this visibly would look wrong. It would look like this is the DDS instead of this. And then this would look like a PNG. Yeah. So you want to make sure your extensions are visible. All extensions are visible. This is the main. Yeah, this is the fuselage and the wings. Those are going to be the two primary, whatever. Did I miss it? Frame, prop, rivets, wings. And the other, I guess I should go to views here. There's a lot of different files here. Albedo, comp, norms. Albedo are the color files, and that's the ones you're going to want. And you know, if there's a flags file, like some of them, mostly these decal files have a flags, you want that and the JSON. So you would take all three of those if you happen to be working with those, or you always take those two, the DDS and the .json. And then we'll go back to our other view and find that file. I had it just a minute ago, didn't I? Oh, darn. There it is. Okay. Okay, now these, and I have another video that shows you how to use the UV files and whatnot. Most people paint them in 3D, but they're vector mapped, so they don't look like the aircraft. I mean, they flatten everything out and then vector map it to this. You know, here's the front grills on the sides. This is the frame or the fuselage itself, splayed out. But I do have a different video that kind of shows you how to paint these directly if you don't use the 3D. Now this is cool, and let's say we're going to make this just a blue aircraft, and we'll just make these that color blue. And I'm just going to dump these. This is not like a great, like I said, I'm not trying to show you how to paint the aircraft, just the process, so that'll work. I'll bet that'll make it blue as blue can be. All right, now you think, okay, that's cool. That should work, except for they have a decal livery file, and here it is. Oh, wrong control button there. And we're going to add it too, because on the default aircraft, these are the lines, the gray and red lines. And we want to get rid of that. Say we want to get rid of it. You don't have to. Oh, let's leave it in there. We'll leave it in there and don't save. Okay, so everything's done. We added our primary fallback, changed our number. Good. I'm double checking, always double check. It's easier to read them twice and reboot. Cancel. What is this? Don't save. Now I gotta go back and check it. Okay. Aircraft config. That looks good. Blue. Ooh, that doesn't necessarily conform to what they do. So we'll put that there. Actually, we'll do that all in capital, right? I've tried it in different ways, and it doesn't. It's not critical, but it's liable to mess up something down the line. They allowed a lot of stuff up front, and then they started restricting the rules as it got in. It's like, it does say that. We just weren't listening. Okay, everything's good. Now this layout, there's a link. It's just unbelievably cool. All right, that's it. That is my livery, and this now has all our extra files in it. It's got a changed up size correctly. Looking again one more time. These 3 lines, that's the minimalist, yeah. And those are the we got a solid blue livery, I'm sure. Let's give her a test. Oh, I never showed how to find these. Here's the community, and I'm showing this official folder with all the files, but I didn't show how to find them yet, did I? Alright, well I didn't realize I did that, because now I gotta restart the game to check it. Go in developer mode, turn on developer mode, apply, and this is not the SDK, this is just the developer mode. But you can tools, virtual file system, and packages. There's your official folder with all the files. This is where you get your files, where I was going. This is where you're gonna put your packages. Alright, and here is your actual, but if you look, sim objects, Asobo and Xcub, these are all the Xcubs, right? But they're all now in the same airplanes folder, every one of them. In fact, all of the aircraft are in that same, from the game's point of view. Alright, and then I did have this running. Let's exit that. Now that I put that in there, I have to restart. I'm probably, and when there's a lot you can add to it, the content info. You just literally put a content info folder right here with the thumbnail picture in it, and that's what I'll show. Let's see, do I have that? Example of that anyway. Okay, now I do have, but it'll take my game a minute, so so you just add this literally right there, and of course then you'd have to redo your layout. I'm not going to add it because we're talking about absolute minimum, and it's in the middle of loading with that layout. But yeah, that's the absolute minimum you're going to need, and it's these 2 files are your control files for the content, and then you put it here in airplanes, and it's right next to the aircraft that you're working on. Like I said, this points it at the aircraft, then that points it at your blue livery. And this just changes the name so it's usable. Hopefully I did everything right. Oh, I didn't. So we're going to see this livery on top of the blue. Okay. And then you can just blank that, make that transparent, and it'll get rid of the default livery colors. But that's all right. Well, I'll show you what the decal does here in just a second. Like I said, it takes my might be able. How long were we? Have we been going here? Not bad. 30 minutes. I expected this to be a little longer than most of my little how-tos. Like I said, I'm trying to concentrate more on how it all works together, as opposed to how you. I mean, you'd have to change. I haven't done. I noticed. I obviously I forgot to blank this out. So we're gonna have, which might look good. You're gonna have the default livery colors overlaid on this blue if it works. So instead of white, all through here you'll have a lot of blue. But we'll see. And then you would have to change the thumbnails. And I won't cover that. There's quite a few that show you how to do that, and frankly I don't think they're all working right now. There was some other things. Oh, I guess this is the minimum, but you can change anything on the aircraft config. Some of this is just a cheat sheet. These two are almost invariably always added to mine because you want to put your name and created by, and then you have your own custom unless you like that Sobo SX thing. But even parts from the default top part of that aircraft config, generic parts, you can any lines that are in the aircraft config can be overwritten with that variation. You just have to include the section and the line that you're editing. So we're looking at profile, change the aircraft. And this is, you see the lines there? That's the decal. It is this gray stuff right in here. Yeah. Why it goes all the way back to there. And there we go. And so you still have this stuff. Because I forgot to blank it. There's our blue. And I'm not going to load it up or anything. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this just because my game takes too long. But I will show you, if you wanted to get rid of that, you make sure that the livery file, that all the aircraft have them. Some of them look like a swatch, and they may have 4 different colors, just like in a pattern. Some of them might just have colors, swatches along the sides or something. But if it's livery, it'll always have the name livery something in it. And you would just make that a transparent file and save it. And these all save as a one using paint.net. All albedos. I guess I could. I may add the paint.net to this one as well. I use just good old paint.net because it's the only program that opens and saves all of the DDS formats by default. And there's quite a few formats. I got a little cheat sheet here, but the albedo is your color file, and then the others are different kinds of files for different stuff I'm not getting into here. I did have a 2D painting video that if you want to look at might help there, and probably has this in paint.net too. Alright, well that's all I was trying to do, is show how to make a very minimal. So you have 2 extra files there, and the content is 3 files plus the actual texture files that you're going to edit. Now, like I said, these control files just have to kind of go with the texture file. I don't know exactly why or whatever, but anytime you add a texture file, you add the corresponding JSON, and then you're only editing this. You don't need to edit these. That should do me. Hope that helps somebody. Not sure. That's kind of an odd video, but y'all have a good day and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.